Before we start, I wanted to thank our conference sponsors, and you can see that their information is shared on this screen. I hope you've been able to enjoy some of our other programming this week. Yesterday we had Neuro Across the Diaspora with our keynote, and on Monday we had Black and Neuro Roll Call. If you were unable to attend any of those sessions, check out our YouTube page where all of our events from today and the rest of Black and Neuro Week are either available now or will be posted shortly. If you want to share any highlights from what you've learned today on social media, please do so using the hashtag BinW24 and neurocareers, Black and Neurocareers for today. And that'll be posted in the chat. So today we're going to be doing a wonderful coding web workshop. And before we get started, I'd like to do a land acknowledgement. So I'd like to acknowledge that I'm joining you today from the Piscataway lands, known as Baltimore, Maryland, and want to acknowledge the indigenous people who resided on these lands and currently do reside. So if you want to learn more about the lands that you're joining from, visit, the link will be shared below to find out those names. So we are all joining this event from places around the world, and so I invite you to take a moment to reflect on the lands you're joining from, as well as your relationship to those lands and the indigenous peoples who have and continue to inhabit them. I also wanted to say that live captioning and American Sign Language interpreting are available for today's event. To turn captions on or off, click the CC Live Caption icon along the bottom of your window. You can also adjust the size of the font by clicking on the three dots at the bottom of your window that say More and selecting Subtitle Settings. Our sign language interpreter should appear as a panelist on your screen. And if you have any issues accessing the captions or interpreters, please message all panelists in the chat. And so I'll go ahead and yield the floor to our wonderful hosts.
Okay. Hi, everyone. So you're welcome once again to Black and Neuro Week 2024. So for me, it's really amazing to be part of a community that seeks to connect and celebrate and amplify the voices of Black people such as myself in neuroscience. And today, so first of all, let me start by saying that my name is Cornell. I'm a tutor from Trend, and my interest actually lies in cognitive and behavioral neuroscience, and I really love working with recurrent neural networks. And I will be leading the Python discussion today. And with me, I have two other tutors. So they would like to introduce themselves. So I'll start with Nathan.
Yes, thanks, Cornell. Yes, my name is Nathaniel. From Ghana. Ghana, yes, in West Africa. Yes, and I'm happy to join everyone here. And I'll be supporting Cornell and teaching Python today for this career program. Yes, and my main interest is also in cognitive neuroscience and brain decoding, as well as BCIs. Yeah, but I'm currently a research engineer at IT Consortium, and it's nice connecting with all of you. Yes, I'll hand over to Mahmoud. Yeah.
Hi everyone. My name is Mahmoud Al-Makki, a purely Arabic name. I am originally from Sudan. Yeah, I lived my whole life there till last year. I moved to Portugal to join the Jean-Paul Center for the Unknown as a research technician in the neuroscience program. In the neural dynamics lab, which is like a purely theoretical lab, and I'm doing lots of neural data analysis and analyzing spiking recordings from animals, but here we just work with fruit flies and mice. We don't have a model for monkeys. The work I'm doing now is purely theoretical, but in the future, I think I will be more towards the cognitive part of computational neuroscience. So yeah, for the past few weeks, me and Cornell and Nathaniel have been working on preparing this workshop. Like we really hope to deliver it to you in the most possibly proper way. Yeah, it will be moving around between me, Cornell and Nathaniel, but as Cornell said, she will be leading the workshop. So yeah, let's go ahead. You can take it from here, Cornell.
Okay, all right, thank you very much. So one interesting fact is that all the tutors here for today are actually from Trend. So in regards to that, I would like to talk about share some information on what Trend is very, very quick. So I would share my screen now. Okay. Yeah, so I hope you can see my screen, right?
Yeah, we can
All
say
right.
it. Yeah.
Great. Okay. So, what exactly is Trend? So Trend is the abbreviation of Teaching and Research in Natural Sciences for Development in Africa. So the big question is, who are we? So Trend is basically a volunteer-run international nonprofit organization devoted to promoting scientific research and education in Africa, right? And we as a community, we believe in empowering and supporting African researchers and enabling scientific independence across the African continent. So our big plan is to take over Africa with neuroscience. What do we do? So we're actually into cutting edge training. We are very big on volunteering. That is, we arrange placement for academic researchers to spend a period of their time working at one of our partner African universities. From time to time, we donate equipment to our partner African universities. And also, we're also into community outreach, and we engage stakeholders across governments and funders to push for better research support across the African continent. So just to show us a little bit of statistics on our impact. So we are proud to say that ever since the beginning of Trend in 2011, so far we've had about 10,000 members being engaged, and we've thankfully been able to impact 22 countries. And from these 22 countries, we have 60 African partner universities. So that is what we've been able to do as a community. And just to give us some kind of visuals to where we've laid our tentacles, as you can see, it's mostly in the west and in the eastern part of Africa. And our dream is to cover all these places up, hopefully, and get more Black people from Africa engaged in neuroscience. Okay. So to jump now, let's get to business. All right, so I would like to get to know us. So we did share some questionnaires to us all, and there were some responses, but I would love to get to know you all on a personal level and see how interactive you are all going to be for this session. So I'm about to send a poll. So I'm sending a link. Okay. So there's a link. So Cleona just posted a link. So please click that, and everyone, like every single person, I am even going to do same. And I am very interested in seeing the results, so I can share my screen here so we can all see what's happening. Okay. Okay. So the very first question is, what country are you from? Okay, this is interesting. This is very, very interesting. And the way I think some of us have had experience with this app, and it seems that a lot of us are from the US, because USA is big here, and I can see a number of us are from Ghana. Okay. I see Sudan, I see India, okay, I see Nigeria, Ethiopia, okay, great. The UK, okay, okay, okay. All right, so moving on to the next question. So what is your field of study? I want to see interesting things. Okay, neurobiology. Okay, psychology. Okay. Okay, I just finished mine. Okay, functional neurosurgery. Oh, okay. Okay. Okay, law. Wow, that is really interesting. Wow. Okay. Those are very cool. I actually didn't know there were fields like this out there. Okay. 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 Nice. So I can see neuroscience. So a chunk of us are actually from the neuroscience field, and that is beautiful. I'm actually impressed with the law. Yeah. I don't know how this person found his way here, but that's amazing. Like it gives me positive vibes. Okay, so let's move on to the next question. Do you think mathematics is the easiest subject in the world? Come on. Okay. So this would it's more like a ranking. So let's see. Let's see. Okay. Okay. I know a lot of us are actually on the run from mathematics. We would do anything to avoid it. Okay. So I think I'm right. So yeah. A lot of us are running away from maths. Okay, good. So let's move on to the next one. So what do you hope to gain from this session? So I am very sure that before we all joined or registered, we kind of like had some sort of expectation. I would love to see this. Okay. Okay. Okay, so I'm seeing get comfortable with Python basics, ranking first. So a lot of us want to get comfortable with Python basics. Amazing. Amazing. Okay, beautiful. Okay, good. All right, this was so I can now I have a very clear picture of the kind of people I'm working with. You guys are very interactive. So this is going to be fun. I promise you this is going to be fun. Okay, so Now I'm going to share my screen for the notebook. So we shared a workbook from Collab with us all. So I'm going to share my part of it, and we will start the real fun. Okay. Oops. All right. Can you see my screen?
No, not yet.
No. How about now?
Now we can.
Okay, great. Okay. All right, good. Good. All right, so let's jump right into business. But then before that, I want to see how many of us have been able to open Collab at our end, as in you having the Zoom interface and then also having Collab opened at the side. Is this possible? Okay, let me see. Okay. So someone is saying they can't see my screen. Okay, in case if you're wondering where the link to the workbook is, it's in the chat box. Oh, okay. Hold tab. Okay, is that better? So are we good to go? I don't want to leave anyone behind.
Yeah. Sorry, Cornell. I think they mean that if you have the Bold tab open in the browser, you
Mhm.
have to close it because Zoom sent you to the browser. So if anyone that cannot see the screen, just make sure you are opening the Zoom window, not the browser window on
Yeah.
your computer.
Okay. So is this problem solved now? Okay. All right. Beautiful. Okay. Okay, good. So let's jump into it. All right. So we've heard a lot. Okay, no. Some of us have actually heard quite a little bit about what Python is, right? So just to give you a very formal definition of what Python is. So Python is a high-level programming language and an open source freeware that emphasizes code readability and simple syntax. So I'm very happy about the fact that it's open source. So meaning it's free for all. You can just access it and just download it anytime, any day, and anywhere. So what are the roles of Python, right? What exactly is Python used for? So Python is used for web development, is used for data science and analytics, machine learning, artificial intelligence, scientific computing. There's a whole lot. The list goes on and on, right? And I mean, apart from the fact that there are so many usage or roles for Python, there are quite a number of advantages. So one big advantage is the fact that Python is very simple and readable. It has a very simple and readable syntax, and you would actually have a feel of that as we go through this notebook. So the other one too is that Python is very it's very versatile, right? You can use it in so many domains. You can use it in web development, AI, machine learning, data science, and so many fields. But my favorite, right? One of the reasons why I actually love Python above any other programming language is the fact that it has a very big community, right? And strong support. So meaning that there's a lot of scientists, like a lot of people, a lot of programmers, right, who are engaged in this programming language. So you can easily grab someone's script and actually learn from it, modify it, and create something new. So that's why for me, that's why I would pick Python over any other programming language. Okay, so whilst I'm going through this notebook, what I want us to do is, in as much as you are following me, try to type out or try to work along with me, right? So the very first thing we're going to do.
Hi, this is Paige Greenwood calling for Mrs. Fillmore.
Hello? Okay, I think that wasn't for us. All right, so the very first thing I want us to do is to actually go through the rite of passage. So let's do something that would officially make every single one of us here Python programmers. And that is to print the phrase hello world. So to do this, I just have to type print, my bracket, and then I have my quotation marks and hello. And I have world. Okay, so in order for me to run this, I just have to click Shift Enter. Okay, so we've been able to get our outputs. It's someone. Okay, yes, yes, you can you're free to ask any questions you want along the way. Just raise your hands and yes, I or the other tutors would attend to you. Okay, so now that we've been able to do this, and every single one here in this session is a Python programmer now. What we just did was to use the print function, right? So a function is simply a code that performs some tags, and it can be invoked by its name, right? So the print function here just displays anything you provide. Okay, so that's stax, and for you to be able to use it, you just have to invoke its name, like type out the name print and put in your data. Okay, so moving on to one interesting aspect of Python is Python syntax, right? So we are going to look at some basics of this, and starting it off is variables. Now when we say variables are simply they are names that actually have values assigned to them, right? So we are going to look at a very typical example of what a variable is. So what we just did was we printed hello world, right? But you can actually assign the phrase hello world to a variable. And to do this, you have to choose a name for a variable. So we're going to choose greeting, right? So greeting to be our variable, and we will assign it.
Cornell, sorry to interrupt, Cornell, but I think some people still cannot see your screen. So maybe because you are still highlighting our videos, me and Nathaniel.
Okay.
I don't know if you're still doing so, but I think some people just see the three of us and the interpreter,
Oh,
from what I understand.
okay.
But I don't know if you can remove the video highlight, or
Okay,
for
let
those
me.
who cannot see the screen, I think there are some options of where to place
So
the
more like
videos of people.
if I
think it's
understand,
being fixed now. Yeah.
should I pin the screen I'm sharing? It's
Yes, yeah, you can try. So if you're pinning our videos, you can, yeah. Yeah, you can just pin yourself or yeah, that's I think that's it.
Okay. Is it better now? Is the problem fixed?
Yeah,
I think I
from
did
the
something.
chat, I think, yeah. Yeah, for the sake of time, we should go on. Yeah, it
Okay.
is fine now. Go on.
All right. Okay, good. Okay. Yeah, so like I was saying, so we actually printed the phrase hello world, and what we can do is create a variable called greeting, right, and assign it the value hello world. So you do this by using the assignment operator. Also, it's the same as the equal to sign. Okay, I'm using a German keyboard, so forgive me if there's a lot of mistakes here and there. Okay. All right, so we've been able to assign hello world, the phrase hello world, to the variable greeting. So what I want us to do is picture, so think of a variable as a container, right? It's a container, and you get to put in all sorts of things inside. So greeting here is the container holding on to the phrase hello world, right? So we can print, or we can get access to the phrase hello world anytime we actually print greeting. Okay, so we can say print greeting, and then I run this, and I'm still able to get hello world. Okay. One other thing too we should also be mindful of very quickly is that variables are actually case sensitive. What do I mean by them being case sensitive? So the fact that you actually named a variable greeting, and then you gave it a value such as hello world, the fact that, okay, so you think it's greeting, right? And you would want to print greeting with a capital G. So when you run this, what you actually get is a name error. So it says name greeting is not defined. What does this tell you? So it tells you that Python has no idea of what you are trying to call, because you've not assigned any value, or you've not defined exactly what greeting is, right? So this is our very first name error. For those of us who are very new to Python, you just experienced your very first name error, and there's a lot to come whilst you progress. Hopefully not. So let's look at more variables, right? And what kind of data can you assign to your variables? So we have a variable here called named age. You can assign a number, 25. Name, you can assign the letter Alice, a student. So true here is called a boolean, right? And one other thing we should be mindful of, I think when I was starting, when I was coming up as a beginner, I thought it was very trivial that, okay, I can name my variables anything. For example, I can say A is equal to say apple, right? You can obviously, yes, you have the liberty to actually do all that. But then when you start to actually write thousands or hundreds of Python scripts, right, it becomes very difficult for you to go through your work, right? So I would always advised us that anytime you want to define a variable, right, you should define it in such a way that it actually intends it has its meaning in the name. Yeah, very, very important. Okay. So now that we've been able to we've learned how to define a variable and assigned values to them, say data, we would have to know about the number of data types available in Python. So we have integers, floats, strings, Boolean, we have list, and we have dictionaries. So let's okay, I actually wanted to, this wasn't supposed to be here, but let's do this. Okay, so I think from, let's say, so let's create a variable. Let's create some sort of data for Nathan, right? So we'll start by asking, so let's just say we actually know what Nathan's age is. So Nathan's age is my variable here, and I will assign this variable. Let's say Nathan is 55. I mean, he isn't 55, but let's just say he's 55. And his temperature, right? Okay. So let's say his temperature is 33.5. Hopefully this will not kill him. Let's define a variable called message. And that would obviously have to be a string. So let's say hi Nat. Okay. And we want to let's create a variable that would actually store the value if Nat is female or not. So it's female, so that would be false. No, so Nat isn't a female. And items for Nat. So this would hold any sort of, so let's say Nat wants to create a list of fruits, right? And then Nat has a friend. Okay. A very beautiful friend. No, a very handsome friend. So name. So the name of this friend is say Mahmoud, and his age. The age of this friend is I mean, since Nat is 55, let's say Mahmoud is 59. Right. Okay. So let's see if this is going to print. Okay. So we've been able to get our output. So meaning every single output here is actually stored in the variables we've defined. All right, great. Let's move on quickly to arithmetic operations, right? So in Python, arithmetic operations are used to compute mathematical operations, and we already know some. Okay, there's a question. Okay, so Nat is asking if we can name our variable true, right? And Mahmoud gave a very interesting answer. So maybe so for those of us who haven't tried testing this out, let's quickly look at that and just see. So let's say you want to name a variable true. So let's say true is equal to 200, right? Yeah, so Mahmoud was right. You will get an error. So the reason is I was gonna say this later, like very as we actually progress, but let me just put it out there. So there are certain phrases or certain words in Python that belongs to Python. You're not supposed to touch it. You're not supposed to use it for your own personal gain. It's just for Python. So for example, let's say you actually want to name a variable, say object, right? I mean, there are certain things you can't use for Python. You see, it actually highlights, it gives it a different color. So anything that is different from black, it's not yours. It has its own meaning, and you just can't use it anyhow you feel like. Yeah, so that's, I think when it comes to that, Python can be a little bit selfish. Yeah, so but thankfully there are a lot of words. You can describe your variables in so many ways. Yes. So going
Sorry,
back,
Cornell.
yeah.
Sorry if may I add something. And these special words you mentioned, these are still variables, and like it is a variable, but it's reserved just by Python.
Exactly.
But maybe in for some, for example, for functions, which is something also we will say, if you name a function with a reserved name, your function will replace the actual reserved function and will give a totally different like behavior or output. But yeah, I just wanted to say that these words are actual values, actual variables, as the same that Cornell went through, but just reserved for Python.
Yeah, so that's very true. Thank you very much, Mahmoud. So let's keep that noted too. So I was saying that arithmetic operations, right, are used to compute mathematical operations in Python, and hopefully those of us who are running away from maths, we've used a few of them. So we know some of them, which is addition, subtraction, division, and multiplication, right? Great. But then there are some other interesting ones that would be useful along the way as you progress into your Python journey. So that is the floor division, the modulus, and then the exponential operator. So let's just run this quickly. So I have this variable x and y, and I have some values assigned to them. So I then create a new variable, say sum, right? And I use my addition operator plus, and I print out sum, and I'm able to get my value, right? So those of us who are actually very new to Python, some of us would be wondering, okay, so there's this, Cornell talked about the fact that, okay, certain phrases, right, certain words in Python are colored, but then I keep seeing this green words after the hash, and I mean, it's just words, right? What exactly do they do? So these are comments, okay? One beautiful thing about being a Python programmer is that at the end of the day, you are just human, right? So Python programmers tend to forget a lot, just like every single person out there. And sometimes you can actually write a lot of codes, leave it behind and come back 2 days later and you're like, who wrote this? Like, where's this from? It has happened to me a lot of times, and hopefully that shouldn't be you. So that's why you need to use comments. So anytime you actually write a line of code, you have to say something about it, right? And it's not just useful to you. It's not just there to prevent you from forgetting. It also helps other Python programmers, we would have access to your scripts, right? So if I just pick your script and I go through the codes, even though I don't know what you were trying to do, because of your comments, I should be able to figure out exactly what you are trying to implement. So just pretend that comments are just a small still voice in your head guiding you. Okay, so let's just quickly do this. So we want to convert this variable. So we have a variable named decimal float, and we are assigning it to a number. And this number happens to be a float, right? So like as I was saying, you have to be intentional about the way you define your variable. So as defining this decimal float is literally a decimal float, right? So to convert this, we simply have to create a new variable called decimal int, right? And then we assign this to this value. Okay, so let's try and print out our new variable, decimal int. Okay, so all right. So what we just did was to so we used the int function, right? So I've talked about so many types of data available in Python. And one beautiful thing is that you can actually convert one data to the other. So let's say you have a float, you can use the int function to convert your float data to an int data. So what the int function actually did was to cut off every number that comes after the decimal point and just gives you the whole number. Yeah, so I think that's one thing I actually love about Python. You can just really manipulate data anyhow you want, and there are so many functions like that to learn from. So for example, you can use the string function to convert let's say an integer to a string, right? So you can actually explore this. So on your own free time, you can explore this. There are so many interesting things in how to convert one data to the other. All right, so let's get into a little bit of like simple math, right? So let's get interactive once more. So I want us to pick. So now that I've shown you that we have an operator known as the floor division and the modulus and then the exponential operator. Let me just let's try and use them, right? So let's pick two numbers. Let's pick two numbers and use the floor division operator to obtain a 1. And then let's also pick two numbers and use the modulus operator to also obtain a 1. Okay, so if you're able to do this, put these two numbers in the chat box. So the very first two numbers I see, I'll try it out for all of us to actually see if that is right. So let me give a very typical example, maybe for those of us who are like a little bit okay, Ivan said 64 and 7. Ivan, for the floor division or the modulus operator, which one? Okay, so Ivan gave us two numbers for the modulus operator. So okay. So let's say modulus operator. So Ivan said 64. So then So our modulus operator is the percentage sign, and then he said 7, right? Okay, let's print this. Okay, good. Yes, that is true. And Adam, so Adam said 1.5 /1. Okay, so Adam gave me Adam gave me 1.5 /1, right? So let's see something here. Okay. Okay, so Adam, I'm getting 1.1. And I'm sure it's because you actually use the division operator. Let's use the modulus operator and see. Okay, yeah. So be mindful of this. I'm actually glad Adam wrote that. So there's a very big difference from so let me do this so that we can get both. There's a very big difference from using 1/ and using a double slash. Okay. Oops. Exactly. So be very mindful. If you actually want so what we should know is that using the double slash, right, would actually give you would divide your number, but it would give you the number as a whole number, right? So it cuts off the decimal points and just gives you the whole number as it is. But with a division sign, it gives you the whole number plus the small parts plus the 0.2, 3, 4, 5. Just so you get like the value in this totality. Okay. All right, so now that okay, all right, so Adam said he meant double slash. Okay, good. But anyways, I'm glad you sent the first slash. Some of us have actually learned from that. Okay. All right, so let's move on to strings and string methods. Okay. All right, so we've already seen some strings. Hello world, the hello world we printed was actually a string, right? So strings are simply it's a collection of text, okay? And strings do have some sort of string methods where you can it allows you to manipulate strings anyhow you want. So that can be from changing your strings to lowercase, from lowercase to uppercase and uppercase to lowercase and so forth. Yeah, strings are really great. Let's move on to this special function known as the type function, right? So if I run this, my output says str, meaning string, right? So what if I use a type function on 4,000? What do I get? Int. So meaning my value here is an integer. So you use the type function to actually check out what type of data you're actually working with. This is very useful for when you're working with a lot of data types and you just want to find out what exactly am I working with. And usually they don't come as they don't represent themselves in your scripts as data types. So it's usually like this where a variable is assigned a value. So text here is assigned a value hello world. And let's say you saw this beneath thousands of Python scripts, and then you're wondering, what is this? I mean, you can't like scroll through your entire script to find out what exactly text is. So you can quickly just use the type function on your variable, and then it tells you that, hey, this is a string. Whatever is contained in this variable is a string, which for me, I think it's pretty cool. Okay. What we should know is that strings actually have quite a number of like important properties, right? So every single individual letter in a string is actually a character. So let's say let's take a look at string 1, right? So string 1 says, I love neuroscience. No, that's a very long sentence. Let's look at string 3, which says bingo, right? So let me comment this out. Let me comment this out, and let's do something, right? So I was trying to say that strings contain individual letters. So every single word, including the space, is actually a character, right? So it sums up to the total number of should I say character or like data that the string is actually carrying, right? So for example, I have here BINGO with an exclamation sign. So let's see. I want to check how many characters are in here. So I can use the len function, and I can say string 3. Right. So it prints out 6. So it prints out 6 because we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We have 6 characters in here. So let's take a look at the very first one, the one I was trying to avoid. I love neuroscience. So this has 19, and it includes the space in between the letters I love neuroscience. Okay, so that's just about one property of string just to have in mind. Okay. So now let's try and use some string methods. Let's manipulate some strings now. So let's say we want to change the lowercase in string 1 to uppercase. How exactly would we do this? Right, so we can do this by using the upper function, right? So let's say string 1 dot upper. Okay, let's run that. And then it comes out, everything comes out in uppercase. And if you want to do the same, I think some of you have kind of like already figured that out. So it's obviously lower. Okay, let's print that. So you get everything in a lower case. But what if we actually wanted to replace a part of a string? Like you already have a variable, right, containing a string, and you want to replace a part of it. So string 2 says, I am awesome. Yes, you are. Let's say we want to replace yes, yeah, you are with something else, right? So we can simply say string, we can use the replace function, string 2 dot dot replace and okay, so here is the tricky part, right? So what you actually have to do is put what you want to change, right? First. So we want to change here you are. And then we separate it by a comma. And I will say I mean, just to be a little petty, I would say no. So I'm replacing here, you add to no. We all are. Right. So let's see what happens. Okay, yes. So this prints out, I am awesome. Someone says, I am awesome. And then the response is no, we all are. So in order for you to use the replace function, always remember the very first segment should be the old phrase you want to change, and then followed by a comma, and then what you want to replace it with. So we've already looked at how to check out the length of a string. So let's quickly move past through that. And let's go to one interesting aspect. This is widely used. So that is concatenation, right? So concatenation is simply you, I mean, literally from its name, it's you adding two things together. So concatenation in Python is used to join two or more strings together in Python, right? So let's look at a very typical example. So I have here, sorry, awards. I have here some variables, right, with some values assigned to them. So I did a very, very simple calculation, right? So I added new awards to my awards to get my total awards, right? So let's say I want to print out. Okay. So let's say I want to print out Black in Neuro gave out. So awards here would represent the awards, which is 50. Awards last year. Perhaps this year they will give out plus total awards plus that. So let's see how I can do this. So let's use a print function to make my life easy. Let me just copy this and paste it. Okay, let's run. Ouch. Okay, that gave us a type error. And what does it say? It says can only concatenate string, not int to string. Yeah, so this was expected. This was expected because I like I said, concatenation is used to join two or more strings together. So because awards here is a variable that contains an integer, you can't add a string with concatenation. You can use concatenation to add a string to an integer. So what then can you do? So we've already spoken about how we can convert one data type to the other, right? So since awards and total awards here is an integer, right? So we can use the string function to convert this. We can use the string function to convert this integer to a string by simply typing our string and putting in our variable. So let's run this for the sake of time. Yeah, so it works. So Black in Neuro gave out 50 awards last year. Perhaps this year they will give out 110 awards. Okay, good. All right, so let's quickly run to user input. Yeah, this is actually my favorite. Like I remember my very first user input code. I was really excited because I was doing something. So we what exactly is a user input? From its name, it's so anytime you run the input function, right? It actually asks you to put in some sort of data, right? So let's see this. So let's run this. So I have my variable here, first name, and I used the input function, and within that I asked, what is your name, right? So me running that, it actually gave out the input, what is your name? And it's expecting me to put out something. So let's say let's say my name is Ivan. Okay, let's run this. And it says, hello, Ivan, welcome to Ben Python workshop. Okay, but what if someone was like, I mean, someone was trying to be very naughty with your code, and then it says, what is your name? And then the person goes like, 560. Let's see if this would run. Okay. No, I interrupted that. Okay. Say for 560. Okay. So it says hello 560, welcome to. So literally like anything you put in your input function, you can print it out very easily. But one thing you should also know is that the input function always takes it takes every single data that you provide, and it transforms it into a string. Yeah, I know that's crazy, right? So in as much as I said my name is 560, because concatenation, which is that we add in two strings together, because it works with strings, that is why I was able to get my output, right? So first name here, even though I said my name was 560, it changed the data type of 560 from integer to a string. And this allowed me to actually print out this sentence. So let's say you actually want to use the input function. You want to collect data from whoever would be using your code, and you want them to actually give you numbers. You want to retrieve numbers. You don't want the input function to magically transform the data to a string. What do you do? Okay, so what you do then is to once again,
Sorry to
Yeah.
interrupt, Cornell, but I
Yes.
just want to point that we have 24 minutes left. So
Wow.
yeah, we
Okay.
have to, yeah,
Okay.
go on.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you so much. Okay. All right. So let's jump. We won't jump, but thankfully this notebook is very interactive, right? You can really interact with it. So let me just quickly do this. So 39. Yeah, and we are able to get our number. Okay, so this is something that you can do on your own free time. This is an exercise. Let's move to, oops, yes, I'm still here. Okay, so since we have 24 minutes left, let me quickly talk about some of the basic data structures we have. So we have lists, tuples, dictionaries, and we have sets. Okay. What you should know is, so we've already looked at what a list is from when I was given the data about Nathan. So we always create lists using brackets, square brackets, and okay, this we really have to do. That is list slicing. So let's say quickly, let me just say bag. Okay, so I'm creating a list for the number of bags I actually have, and let's say 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 4, 8. Anyways, yeah. Okay, so one important thing that we have to know is list slicing, and list slicing actually helps you to modify your lists in so many ways. So let's say I only want to print out the middle part of my list, which is 2, 3, and 5. what I can do is, so I can say print. Okay, so I can say print bag, and then my square bracket, I can say it should start from 1. Oops. So start from 1. So no, actually start from 2. Sorry. And then I wanted to stop at at 5. So meaning I would say 6. And then I would run this. Okay. Okay. Okay, no, so that was, I got a little bit distracted. So actually this is wrong. So I said I want to print out the middle part of my list, which is 2 to 5, right? So now to do this, I actually have to use index. So every single number here has a position, and Python actually starts counting from 0, right? So I have so in normal counting sense, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I have 7 numbers here, but for Python, it's actually 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? So I have to ask myself where exactly is 2 located. So 0, 1, 2. So my second position, and I said I want to stop at 5, right? So 5 is at 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So 4. Okay. No, actually 5. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so good. This I'm very glad I made this mistake. So list here is able to so anytime you have a number at the end after your column, right? So it says you should actually stop at that number but exclude it, right? So because I said position 5, it stops at 6 but excludes 6 out of the list. Okay, and then we have tuples, we have dictionaries and sets, which are very easy to learn on our own. And we have logical operators. So I think I will talk about logical operators when we do this. So let's jump to control structures, okay? So with control structures, we have one important aspect, which is the if, elif and else statements. So just like every normal human being, where we take certain actions based on some conditions, you can do the same thing in Python, right? So you can tell Python to execute an action based on a condition that you've actually given it. So let's look at an if statement, right? So if statements actually work by doing the action if the condition is actually true. If the condition you give is false, then it stops executing. So let's look at a very simple one here. Let's run this. Okay, so I gave my if statement saying that if this variable is less than or equal to 10, I want you to do this. I want you to create a new variable called numcube, and I want you to raise the number to the power 3, and then print numcube is that. So because our initialized value num here is actually 4, right? So it's actually less than 10. We were able to get our condition executed. Now let's move on to an alternative, right? So let's say you actually have an if statement, and the condition is actually false, but then you don't want to let Python just stop executing. You want Python to do the alternative action. That's when you actually use the else statement. So I have an if statement here saying if my score is greater than 3, I want you to print you are moving to the next stage. Right. So let's run this quickly. So it's asking me, I say 4. So it says I'm moving on to the next tournament, but what TY say 2? So it prints outside the if block, but say I actually wanted to include an alternative action for Python to do, I would use the else statement. So I put in here else print try again in the next tournament. So 2, and I have try again in the next tournament. But then say you actually want to put up something together where you have different options, different actions you would want Python to actually execute. That is when the elif statement comes to play. So we have a very typical example here. Let me run this. So this if statement, an elif statement here is asking me to put in my exam score. Let's say I scored a 49 on the test. Okay, no, I put in the wrong value, 49. Okay, it says pass. Now the reason why I'm able to get this, so pass meaning that this block here was actually executed, right? So the so Python went through all this. So it first tackled the if statement, and it realized that okay, 49 is actually less than 90. So it skipped that, and also realized is less than 80 is skipped until it actually came to it came to the statement where my condition was actually being met through the elif statement, and I was able to get my my results printed. Okay. Now what if say after all this you want to cater for maybe some number that you have no idea about? So that's when once again you fall to else statement. So that's the alternative, right? So let's say you have 30. We didn't define this in our statements. So else serves as the alternative action to take. So it says fail. Okay. So now that we've seen this, let's quickly go to loops, right? Okay, so this was okay, so this here is actually an exercise that from learning about else and elif and else statements you can actually do. One other important aspect is actually loops. So just from the name, there's so many things, or there's a line of code you would want it being executed a number of times, should in case your conditions are actually being met. That is when you actually use loops. And we have 2 primary types of loops in Python. We have the for loop, and we have the while loop. How many minutes do I have now? Just to be sure. Okay, so Nathan placed in 12. Okay, great. Okay, so we have some resources for you to actually learn this. But let's get into what would actually benefit us. Okay, so we can actually learn loops on our own. But then as people working with data, right? One important aspect of Python is using functions. right? And it can be a little bit tricky for some of us. So we already talked about function, and Python has its own inbuilt functions, but we can also create our own functions when programming. So you do this by using def and then the def function and naming your function. So here I have a function that repeats the word Spain won the Euro tournament. So in order for me to use this function, just like any other function you use in Python, what I can do is I can call this I can call the function. So my function here is repeat, right? Okay, so anytime I call my function repeat, and I run it, I'm able to get these words. So because that's the kind of definition I have given to my function. Okay, let's move on. Okay, so functions have some sort of structures, right? So it's usually the function def and then the name of the function and some parameters and then a doc string. Some of you might have seen this in some codes, and then you have the block, you have the code block, and then you have the value that it returns. So what exactly do I mean? So let's create a function. Let's create a function called calculate, right? So what this function is going to do is it's going to add numbers up for us. So I can add my doc string. So doc strings are used to describe what the function what exactly your function is used. It's like comments. So calculate. Okay, and then I have what I wanted to do. So I wanted to print okay, so the first number. Oh, okay. First number and the second number. So I can actually rather say return. So this is the value I wanted to return. Okay. So I'll use the parameter, sorry, let me name this. So we have parameter number 1 and we have number 2. Let's see if this runs. Okay, good, it runs. Then let's call my function to calculate. So let's say print, yeah, let's calculate 2 and 3. Okay, so it says calculate is not defined. Okay. Oh, okay. It says not defined because of how I made a mistake with the name. Okay, so we're able to use our function to add 2 numbers. So you can also put in if statements in functions. So it's just applying the same logic. Okay, I think I don't want to skip this. So for those of us who actually work with a lot of data and we are deep into Python, classes are a very essential aspect of Python. And so a class is simply, it's a way for you to create your own data type, sort of, in Python, right? It allows you to bundle data and functions together. Okay, so to do this, how do you create a class? So you simply create a class by so using the class function and naming your class, say students, right? So you use pass, since the class here is empty, so you use pass to tell Python that, hey, okay, I've created a class for students, but hold on, I'm yet to give it a value. Okay, so let's look at why classes are important and how useful they actually can be for us, because it's very for me, I think it's very important. Okay, so we're going to create an instance called let's say student. So student 1, so 2 instances, right? And instances are very unique. So they have their own attributes. So let's try and print this. So I have it down here. So I can quickly print that. So let me print this instances. Okay, so it says student object at this. So you can see it has its own distinct location, right? So now let's try and let's say from the data collected from Black and Neuroscience students, you actually want to create a class where you store data from students and you ask them to actually give you information, right? So let me quickly comment this and comment that. Okay, so let me change this to Ben and Simon. All right. Okay, so say you are creating some sort of like manual information for 2 different kinds of students, right? This is a lot of lines. There's a lot of code, and you're just taking up space. So one other thing that classes helps us to actually achieve is making our scripts actually neater. And say you want to put all this together, what you can actually do is that you could create the class called students. And you actually oops. Okay. And you can use the init function, right? Oop. Okay, so the init function, you can some people call it the initialize function, or some people in other terms say it's the method. So it takes your instance variable, and then the other attributes. So self here is simply your instance variable. You can name it any way you want. You can actually say, mango. Yeah, but you have to always kind of stick to conventional methods because it's everyone uses that. So you have your instance here, and then the data in which we want to retrieve, and I can set out my my objects in my class. So because I have this now, I can comfortably say, let me just delete this, right? Let me delete this and rather put in here in the same order, say Awuku, and then my last name. Okay, my last name is Awuku, but let's just say Cornell. And so the first student's interest is science. And let me, you know what, let me copy and paste for the second student. Let's call him Jen. I'll let him use my name. So let's print this now. Okay, so print. So okay, so that just printed the instance variable, but let's call our class students. Okay, then dot students. Okay, so this gave us an error. What am I doing wrong? Okay, so I'm actually calling it wrong. So what I'm rather supposed to do is, so I can rather print. So let's say, so what you're actually supposed to do is you can actually print out the information easily from this instance. So let's say you want the email from this attributes given. So you can simply say so stu1 underscore 1 dot email. Okay, let's print it and see. Okay, so we're able to get access to this instance objects where it adds the first and the last name to our string here. Yeah, Mahmoud.
Sorry, Cornell, just wanted to point out that we are on time, so we will need to conclude soon.
Okay. Let's.
But
All
yeah,
right.
but everyone can still copy the link of the notebook from the chat and leave it with you, and you can go through it anytime you want.
Yes. So one good thing about the notebook we created is that it's very it's extremely interactive. You can literally sit down on your own and go through this notebook and figure out exactly what we are trying to talk about. It's unfortunate we would have to end here. But I really hope we've picked one or two things from this. Yes.
Thank you
Okay, so
so
are
much.
we totally out of time or like there's
Yeah,
a spare time?
sadly. But I
Okay.
think, I think this was a great stopping point, and then people can,
Okay.
look at that workbook link.
Okay.
But we wanted to thank you so much for coming and for hosting this. This was incredibly informative. Before we wrap up, I wanted to say thank you again to our conference sponsors, and big thanks to our live captioner and our sign language interpreter. And as a reminder, all of this and all of our events are available on our YouTube page. So you can go back and look at this. And we just posted the workbook in the chat. If you haven't yet, please join the conversation on our social media. Use hashtag BINW24 and also hashtag Black and Neuro Careers. And we're at Black and Neuro across all platforms. So for any up-to-date information on the conference, you can check out your conference booklet or visit our website. And again, I wanted to thank our hosts and everyone for facilitating this. And we hope to see you at the rest of our events this week. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.